Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to be making chocolate macarons, or macaroons, but macarons is the French way of saying it anyway, a French confection. And for this I have almonds, icing sugar, egg whites, cocoa powder, more egg whites and granulated sugar and some water. Now I'm going to be doing this differently to how I've done them in the past. I've had one go in the past at making some lemon macarons, and for that I just mixed everything together in the normal fashion. But today I'm going to be trying with Italian meringue, which is where you beat your egg whites in a food processor, or you can do it by hand, but in a food processor, and then you gently drip the sugar and water syrup into the egg whites as they're beating until they come to thick peaks or stiff peaks, and then you mix them into the almonds and such like. So I'm going to try that. Hopefully this will be a more foolproof method, because making macarons can be a bit tenuous, or a bit difficult, should I say. So let's do the ingredients. I have 212 grams of almonds which are ground. Now I have to say, weight measurements are very precise in macaron recipes. If you get them wrong, then it's all going to turn out wrong. So I have 212 grams of ground almonds, I have 184 grams of icing sugar, and I have 28 grams of cocoa powder. This is going to give a bit of flavour to the macaron and some colour. I don't want the colour to be too dark, because I'm going to fill the macarons with the chocolate ganache, and I want to try and get some contrast. I also have 82 grams of egg whites. That's going to go with those ingredients. Then I have another 90 grams of egg whites, 236 grams of granulated sugar, and behind me in a pan I have 158 grams of water. So the first thing we're going to do is to try to make this ground almonds slightly smaller so that we can sift it. So what we do is we put our icing sugar into a food processor, and then we put the almonds in as well, and the cocoa powder, and we're going to blitz those together. And in the process of blitzing them together, the ground almonds should become smaller. So we just blitz them for about 20 or 30 seconds. Okay, so I think that's blitzed enough. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to sift that a bit at a time into a bowl, so that if there's any large lumps of almonds left, I can discard those. So having sifted our mixture, I'm going to make a well, and I'm going to pour this 82 grams of egg whites into the mixture, and I'm just going to mix it together so that we get a very thick batter. I'm just going to set that aside and go on to the next stage. Now the next stage is to bring our water to the boil, put our sugar in and turn it into a syrup. So I'll set that up and I'll be back with you. Now what we want to do with this water and sugar is to bring it to the boil, and we want to heat it until it's about 110 Celsius. And at that point we're going to start whipping our eggs in a stand mixer until they become frothy and there's no liquid left in them. And then once they're frothy, the temperature of the sugar syrup should have gone up to about 120 degrees Celsius. At that point we take it off the heat and we'll start to pour it into the bowl. We need to make sure we avoid pouring it so that it hits the whisk, because that will just fly red hot syrup all over the place, and you don't want that. So now the syrup is boiling, and we're going to let that boil until it goes up to 110 Celsius. I'm using this smaller thermometer so I can tell you the Fahrenheit equivalent as well when it gets to 110. So we've reached 110, which is about 229, 230 degrees, and I've turned the processor on to whisk the eggs to a froth. So with our eggs at a soft peak stage, I'm going to gently pour in the sugar, So I'm still not quite at the stiff peak stage, and I want it to be stiff, so we'll whip a little bit longer. And I think that's just about okay. So what I'm going to do now is take as much of this off as I can and put it into our bowl. And then put some more in, and we'll start to mix it together. So with this first part we can be quite rough with it. And once we've done that, we want to put the rest of it in. And we're going to fold it in, scraping still got some syrup on the bottom there. So we turn and scrape, turn and scrape, turn and scrape until we have the mixture fully combined. It's almost there. Yes, that's it. So the next thing to do is to put it into a piping bag. I'm going to do this in stages, so that's probably enough, oops, for the time being. No, I can put more in, I can see that. I can see that, so we'll put some more in. Just remove that. So having put it into our piping bag, so having put it into our piping bag, we need to push it down and what I have here is a template that I made with circles of about 1.5 inches, and I'm preheating the oven to 160 Celsius, that's 325 Fahrenheit. I'm going to pipe these out by putting another sheet on top, piping on that sheet, then I'm going to do another tray, the same, and let them stand for 20 to 30 minutes until they form a nice skin. Now when you pipe these, you want to pipe upwards, straight up. Whoops, that's too much. You want to try and get them about the same size. Now you tap these on the counter a couple of times to knock the air out. Okay, so now I'm back with you. I have my macarons here. Now, if you make them about this size, you should get about 48 of them. As you can see, they have a nice shallow foot on them and they're nice and crispy on top. The best way for looking after macarons is to fill them and then refrigerate them for at least 24 hours before you eat them. This allows this crispy top to soften slightly, and it also allows the filling, the flavour of the filling, to absorb into the macaron. Now these already have a bit of chocolate flavour with them, but not overly so. So here I have a chocolate ganache, which is very simple to make. You could actually use something like Nutella or something to fill it if you wanted to. But with this chocolate ganache, I simply had 113 grams of chocolate, over which I poured 120 millilitres of almost boiling double cream and left it for a minute and then stirred it until the chocolate melted and it was nice and thick. Then I added 25 grams of softened butter, which was diced into cubes, and I stirred that in and I've allowed it to cool down. So now we simply pipe a little bit of our mixture onto a macaron and then place another one on top and leave it like that. I'll do the other ones and then I'll come back. Okay, so now I'm back and I've put the filling into the macarons. I've got more behind me, which I've done. I think this recipe, if you make them all of this size, will make about 48 shells and therefore 24 macarons. I made some slightly larger ones, so for instance, here's a larger one. You can see the difference in the size, but the small ones seem to be ideal. Now, I'll taste one, so I'll taste this one. They have a lovely texture, which will get enhanced once they've been refrigerated for 24 hours in an airtight container, because the flavour of the filling absorbs into the macaron. They're slightly crispy on the outside at the moment, but that will also soften. But they're very good. So that's it for this recipe. I'll be back with you again soon and we'll try something else. So in the meantime, please give me the thumbs up or the like below the YouTube video if you like the video, and also click to subscribe to the channel so that you can see the future recipes that I will be bringing to you. And in the meantime, happy baking.